Hey everyone, welcome to the Legends Podcast. I'm Jeremy, and with me today I have, of course, Dylan because he has no life,
Yep.
and special guest Matt Wilkins.
Hey there, hi there, ho there. I'm as happy as can be.
With his product placement Chase headphones.
No,
That I thought were
do they say
Beats by
Chase on?
Dre.
Oh, they do. Wow, I forgot about that. Hey, baby. I just love the bank. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about there. Product placement.
We have two news updates, I do believe, Dylan, that Dylan will lead us off with, and then we'll get into our main topic, top 5 expanded universe lightsaber duels.
Yes. So first bit of news, a bit of an update. Well, actually, both of them were updates from last podcast. The Hasbro Pulse fan poll has came and went. The only EU relevant character that made the finals was Wedge, and he got beat out by Bespin Luke. Sorry, not Bespin Luke, Dagobah Luke. So we're going to get the new figure that we're going to get is going to be another Luke figure. Good job.
So he was beat out by a hot, sweaty, muddy Luke. Is that what I'm getting at?
Yeah, and Wedge, and I think Lando was pretty high on there as well. Who made the final isn't really important. Just that Luke won. A lot of the collectors community is actually upset about that because we have this poll and we just get another Luke. So that's that. The other good news.
Oh, can I cut in real quick? I'm so sorry to cut into Dylan's news report, which is just riveting. But the thing is, with that, Dylan, I am almost positive they are doing it on purpose because here's the deal: they want to feel like there's fan input. But the times that I believe there's only been two true fan polls, and that was when the expanded universe toys won. And I'm being honest, because after that, what happened? They cut us off at the knees a few years ago, and now this time they didn't even give an expanded universe. They don't want to hear from the fans. They want to know, hey, what is marketable to sell to people, to those kids outside? Well, let me see. They know Luke from the movies. Let's make another Luke. I guarantee you the polls are just something. It's fan service now. It's not serious as it was a few years ago because they're into, even though, to be honest, the expanded universe toys sold really well. Really well. You don't see any of them for sale on shelves at all at discount. So I think nowadays it's we'll do the fan poll, but really, honestly, we're going to make what we think will sell to the general public, not to the people who are actually participating in the fan poll.
Right. So I guess the other bit of good news is Marvel has recently announced that they are going to be re-releasing Star Wars issue 50, from back in the old Marvel Star Wars days, before the release of issue 108. And as we talked about last time, issue 108 is going to pick up on the storyline that ended at issue 50. So they're going to get that one out there just so, the people who haven't read it can, be caught up. So, and again, that issue 50, I've seen an image of it. It does have the Legends banner on it. So, if that's your thing, but I guess it's just more confirmation that issue 108 will be Legends because they are marketing at least the prequel issue to it as Legends. So if you don't already have it, pick it up, I guess. If you do have it, I don't know. Are you going to be picking it up, Matt? Or because I know you have issue.
I will not pick up the re-release of issue 50. However, 108 is already pre-ordered at my comic book store. The day the news came out, I went straight to the comic book store.
Yeah, I still need to do that.
I'm not missing that. If I have to order direct from Marvel, I will have to do it because our comic book guy isn't the most reliable, but hopefully he's going to order them because he was actually surprised to hear the news. So I need to go back there. Actually, it's in the previews catalog this month. Is that correct, Jeremy?
I think so.
It would be because previews is 2 months ahead before the release date, right? The previews catalog.
I don't use the previews catalog anymore because I find it primitive. I just
no. Isn't that how comic book? Well, that's how the comic book dealers here order their books.
I know a lot of them do, but I've been out of the game for so long. I just look up online.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I look through the previews and I usually point out what I want. And it wasn't in the previews for February, but I need to go back. I need to go back this month and remind that Dodo. I love the dude. I've been getting comic books from him for decades, but he baked his brain 20 years ago, and so I'm lucky to have him remember my face when I walk in now, much less what I ordered. So, but I am getting that book regardless. I mean, first I want that right now. Super excited about it. I'm more excited over that than Dylan is over a whole barrel of cheese balls. Let me just put it that way.
God.
Okay?
Oh God, I forgot about that.
I'm more interested in reading 108 than Dylan is watching a freaking soccer game at the Tilted Kilt. That's how excited I am. There's so many inside jokes here, folks, but that's how freaking excited I am.
It wouldn't be a Legends podcast without some inside jokes.
I'm telling you.
Dude,
I'm sorry, and I get on to y'all all the time about doing those inside jokes on the Legends podcast, and here I am doing it. Every time I say, guys, it's funny, but no one's going to get that.
For those of you who don't know,
go ahead and tell us.
On our pilgrimage to Matt's EU library and to Gen Con, we went grocery shopping to get a bunch of food so we wouldn't have to buy as much food at the convention because convention food's super expensive. That was when I bought, instead of food, beer and lived off of beer at Matt's house. I don't think I ate at your house, or if I did.
Well, here's the deal. How's the cheese balls thing went is my wife and I bought this big old barrel of cheese balls, and it was before y'all got there, I remember. And we got it because the missus wanted it. I said, well, I'm not going to eat them. She went, well, I'll eat them. I was like, okay. Well, then we were playing board games that night when y'all came in, or the next night or whatever. And I said, well, we wanted some snacks. Well, I didn't want to get any of the snacks that we're going to get on our trip. Mm-hmm. So I just said, well, what's in the house that we can just eat up right now? I said, well, also bring the cheese balls for these guys. And so I had a few, you had a few, and then Dylan just kept eating them. And then by the time we looked up, that barrel was halfway empty. Now, to Dylan's credit, I do want to defend Dylan. Dylan, I bought another barrel of cheese balls for my wife, and those things are addictive. You do not realize how many you're eating. Because I'll be honest, I made my way through about an inch or two of that barrel before I said, whoa, okay, now I see what happened to Dylan. But Dylan ate my wife goes, did y'all enjoy all the cheese balls? I went, what do you mean? She was like, they're all gone. I said, Dylan, you ate all the cheese balls? He didn't eat all of them. There's like a few left. It was like cheese balls are afraid of Dylan, just as the younglings were when Anakin entered the Jedi Temple. That's how it was. He just slaughtered them. Dylan just slaughtered them. But, go ahead. I'm sorry.
With the Tilted Kilt, Matt and I just were like looking for food, and we went to this bar like called the Tilted Kilt, which is basically, if y'all are familiar with Hooters, it's Hooters with better food. And they all wear all the waitresses wear kilts, and they're, it's one of those establishments. So we just said we need to take Dylan here, and so we took Dylan there.
Well, I thought it'd be funny because it's like, oh man, he's gonna freak out. But go ahead.
Rather than like get the reaction we expected from him, he's just like, oh yeah, I come here all the time to watch soccer, and proceeded to ignore the waitress and watch the game.
Who was talking to him, trying to start a conversation with him? It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to do a Star Trek reference here, but Dylan is definitely Spock. Yeah. I just don't know which one of us. Well, I'm married, so you must be Kirk, and I guess I'm Bones. But either way, though, I was like, what are you doing? Anyway, I don't know. I'll be honest, though. That Gen Con trip is still one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah, same.
To be honest, Dylan probably is shaking his head in regret right now, but you missed it. The most interesting thing, I think I said this last time I was on the podcast, it takes, 12 and a half hours from Indianapolis to Monroe, or 13 hours?
Something like that.
It was big. The entire time on the way back, we talked about the EU.
It was one of the best conversations, the three of us, I think, in my opinion, that we've ever had.
But the thing is, the conversation did not lag. We did not get quiet and just listen to music or just, fade in and out. We were constantly going through one topic after the next, diving. And to be honest, the trip went by, the trip back like that. The trip up went fast too, but that's because we were clowning the whole time. But the trip down just went like that because we were just talking EU for 13 and a half hours. There's got to be a record somehow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, which gets us into our next topic.
I'm sorry. And the reason none of us slept is because Jeremy slept the whole time while we were at Gen Con. So
Oh,
he was
yeah.
up.
I was just telling my girlfriend about how I passed out on the floor at Gen Con.
Every night at 8 p.m., Jeremy's there snoring on the table.
I don't drink like that anymore.
I don't know.
Not long after that, I got.
Oh, sure, it was the alcohol. Right, got it.
Yeah, this dude. And he was the last one up, too, in the morning. First one to bed, last one out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dylan. My apologies.
No, I was just trying to get us into the...
You should speed us up. I'm sorry. I'm the one sidelining this. Go ahead.
The topic of this was something that you had brought up before the podcast of top 5 EU lightsaber battles. We've literally had 2 hours to think of this list, so cut us some slack here.
Well, no, so initially at the end of the last podcast, there was some talk about EU with that freaking 10 questionnaire that guy gave us last podcast. And so I started thinking, I'm like, all right, I'm feeling some EU because I've been reading, most of my Star Wars reading in the last year has been new canon, and it's been mostly negative. And I'm like, well, what's something the EU has been giving us that new canon hasn't? And I thought about it for a while, and I'm like, there hasn't been a single memorable lightsaber duel in the new canon that was good. Even in the movies, there hasn't been a good lightsaber battle. In Force Awakens, you had 2 young people awkwardly swinging swords at one another in reference to A New Hope, where it was an elderly man and a guy who couldn't see, and the blades couldn't actually connect when they were filming, which is why the original lightsaber battle is kind of awkward in comparison to every single one. But there's no excuse that people are just swinging lightsabers awkwardly. And then in Last Jedi, you have lightsabers never connect in the whole movie. The one, you think it's a lightsaber duel, the lightsabers never touch. And that's the most memorable one. And in the books, Luke's maybe fought one person. Well, he kind of fought Vader in issue 2. And they had a lightsaber duel in the new comics. But that's pretty much it. There's been nothing. And I was like, I'm starved. I need to think of some really good, excellent lightsaber duels. So I was like, I pitched this question. I drop it in our Dylan's in our admin chat for Star Wars reviewers, the top 5 best lightsaber battles. And then I'm like, only Dylan's going to be on there. I'm like, we need one more person. I call Matt up on the telephone, and I'm like, dude, do you want to be on Legends? We're doing top 5 best lightsaber battles, and that was an hour ago.
Yeah, I had an hour. To be honest, I sat there and I thought about what are the. I said, let me just think off the top of my head, because that's usually what I do when I'm doing the top 5. It's the top 5. I thought of them in the exact order I'm giving them to you now. It was weird. I said, well, surely there's some other ones that I forgot about. I looked at not every other one, because you guys are going to remind me of a few. But I looked through my books, comic books and stuff. I went, nope, I still like my top 5. And I said, well, let me put these in order. And they were exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
my parameter, well, immediately when I say expanded universe, I don't mean movie lightsaber fights. That goes without saying, I'm assuming. There's you don't have any movie ones in yours, Matt, do you?
No, it has to be expanded universe.
Exactly. And I said no video games unless there was a novel, because video games are secondary canon typically.
And I agreed with that, but I also said it automatically eliminated every lightsaber Star Wars, Force Unleashed is the thing I mentioned to you over the phone. Because I was thinking in the back of my head, well, there's got to be a good Force Unleashed action. I went, well, to me, I'm going to get the book and the video game confused because it's been a while since I've read the book. So I just eliminated that one altogether. You don't have to, but I'm just saying I did.
So I'm going to start with my number 5.
So let's go 5 to 1 each, one at a time. Then before we get to 1, we do honorable mentions because I know I have a few.
Okay. That works.
Okay. So my number 5 is from the first Purge one-shot, and it is Vader versus all of the Jedi. In this issue, Vader is lured into a trap by a bunch of Jedi Knights who survived Order 66. I think there's like 10 of them, maybe more. There's a bunch of them.
There's
and
8.
They lure him into this trap. He's thinking that he's going to fight Obi-Wan again, one-on-one, and get his revenge. And he proceeds, and we're going to get into spoilers with all of these, because most of these lightsaber duels, I'm assuming, are the finales to books.
Yeah, all of them. All of mine would just about be spoilers.
Well, Vader wrecks all of these Jedi. He gets beaten up a lot, but because he's very new to his new prosthetics and the new armor.
There's a very famous panel from that comic of like him with like him with his mask cut like just so you can see his eye and you can see like the skin underneath. That comic panel is from the Purge comics, if you've seen that.
And he loses an arm, and after grabbing a knife, not a lightsaber, a knife, and then he uses his severed arm, he flings it and stabs a Jedi in the chest with it. And it's just brutal. It was a holdover of the brutality from the Clone Wars comics at the time, and I just love it for that. Wow. Plus, it's my favorite Vader interaction with Jedi.
That one's on my list as well. Can I say which one it is?
Yeah, go for it.
That was my number 1.
Oh!
Holy cow! Was it really?
Yeah.
Dude, it's a good one.
It was an honorable mention for me. I'll be honest, that was one of 2 other ones, I think, 2 or 3 other ones that fought for number 5 for a minute. But for one moment, I thought about putting it on there. It was good, but I didn't even. Wow, number 1. I thought I was going to steal your number 1. Well, go ahead, Dylan, because I know I'm going to steal one of yours in a minute.
So I guess my number 5 is Ulic Qel-Droma versus Kay Qel-Droma.
Oh, one of my honorable mentions.
Because, I mean, man, was that, like, such a... It's one of those fights that, like, when you look at the panels, like, it's not any flashy choreography or anything like that, but it's, like, the power and emotion and the reasons behind these 2 characters fighting, with Kay trying to, like, stop Ulic and being like, no, this isn't you, and Ulic just keep going on and tell how it ends when Kay dies, and then finally at that point Ulic realizes that he's gone too far, but it's too late. His brother's already dead. Yeah.
And then Nomi Sunrider's part, which I will not spoil, but because that's like the number 1 like tear jerk moment in the EU for me.
It's one of the best comic book storylines ever.
Yeah.
And Dylan knows this about me, and Dylan knows this too. We share a love of Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi has got to be one of the best story arcs. And I'm counting Redemption. Without Redemption, it still hangs up in there, but with Redemption, I think it even moves up even more.
Yeah.
In my opinion. When I heard Redemption was coming out, I remember thinking, oh no, don't do this. Don't do this. It's been way too late. We don't need a wrap up story. We don't need it. Please don't do this. And they did it, and I read it. I loved it. I loved it. So that was my number 3. That was my number 3. We're gonna snipe a bunch of bars. That's how high that is for me, because I will agree with Dylan. And Dylan's right. Stuff leading up to this battle. It's not really it's the significance of what's going on in the storyline is that lightsaber battle, just like Dylan said there. The significance, not really that the battle was really that awesome or the artwork was everywhere. There's some cool things shown in the Purge comic book that you can basically, you can use your imagination. Until the Jedi, Ulic Qel-Droma and Cade are basically just crossing lightsabers. That's basically all they're doing. So it's not that the battle was depicted so awesomely. It was what was at stake there. This was Cade's last chance to not defeat his brother, but to save his brother. And it is so amazing. It is impactful. It is powerful. It's very emotional. And I think we feel those emotions through the whole thing. You know, maybe severed limbs happen. Maybe consequences are dealt. And even as Nomi Sunrider enters, if you remember that, I'll never forget this. There are tears streaming down her face
as she's doing,
as she's laying the smackdown on him. She has to do what she has to do. She does not want to do it. She hates everything that has gone on. As close as they have been over the years and all the Sith War and everything, it comes down to this. How could you? How could you make me do this? And it is so emotional. It's such a great moment in the comic books. I completely agree with what Dylan said, except they put it number 5. Should be higher. 3.
I mean, it was my honorable mention.
So what was your number 5, Matt?
Okay, my number 5. Man, it's not Jedi versus Jedi or Jedi versus Sith. It's Ganner at the gates.
Oh yes.
I'm drawing a blank here, so
I am Ganner. This is my threshold. I claim it as my own. Bring on your thousands, all in one at a time or all in a rush. I don't give a damn. None shall pass.
Oh God.
That to me is an epic moment where he is. I mean, remember before this scene, we had already established that one Vong, much less thousands.
Well, we have to reference which book this happens in.
This was Traitor by New Jedi Order Traitor by Matthew Stover.
And the thing is, the Vong have already been like 2. I think it was, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Luke that encounters 2 Vong at first, and he has trouble defeating them? It was only
Mara. Mara was the one who made first contact.
Oh, okay.
Granted, she was also sick, but it was still the Vong was her match.
But yeah, we've established that the Vong are an equal match to the Jedi. You know, almost 1-on-1. So 2-on-1, 3-on-1, they can really give the Jedi problems.
And not only that, but they can't be perceived in the Force. Meaning that the Jedi instincts of I know what's going to happen doesn't work on the Vong. And any kind of Force powers that requires the Jedi to be able to sense the target that they're using at, none of that works against the Vong. And he stands there, 5,000 Yuzhan Vong warriors charge him, and he kills every single one of them.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Is this on your top 5? Because it's on mine.
I forgot this happened. I can't.
Okay.
Shame on me.
Here's the deal. Dylan loves it more than I did. Okay. The thing is, I totally agree. When I saw that, I thought, first off, good job. Because it's so impactful because there is a passion. And Dylan's right. You cannot anticipate their moves. So without the Force, Ganner was just a deadly assassin guy. I mean, he had the ability, he had talent outside of the Force, is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And he, of course, had the heart because he was getting cut, slashed, but he would not go down. And I mean, that he kind of powered himself in the Force for a while. You know, he could power himself.
And he had Anakin's lightsaber, which had the lambent crystal, which meant that he actually could sense the Vong, but only his lightsaber could.
Only his lightsaber could. So he had a little advantage. But the thing is, though, I mean, if you look at epic now, first off, New Jedi Order would make the most amazing set of movies in the world. If let's rewind back in time, Disney said, okay, we're going to show all these EU haters that they're wrong. We're going to make New Jedi Order into movies. You would watch every fanboy's head explode in anger at first, and then every fanboy's head explode when they saw the movies and see how freaking awesome they are. Because one of several good scenes is Ganner. Mm-hmm. But Ganner just taking them, slashing them one after the next, bring it.
Like the book even mentions that at one point there were so many dead Yuzhan Vong that he was on top a mountain of dead bodies, and they had to climb up the mountain of their own comrades to get to him.
And I don't know why this is not on anyone else's top 5, but anyway.
I didn't think of it because
Okay.
there is another New Jedi Order moment, but I have it in honorable mentions because I thought that it's technically not a lightsaber duel because it's not lightsaber on lightsaber, but I thought about mentioning it.
I thought we said lightsaber battle. Are we
Yeah,
meaning
no,
duel? I heard battle, and so I thought anything
Well,
with a
that's fine.
lightsaber.
That's
that's
fine.
That
fine. No, I just my parameters were vague,
Yeah.
and I was
Okay.
fascinated with what you would come up with.
Okay, well, I thought when I said battle, what's a battle with a lightsaber? And that one just stuck out in my head right there. So anyway, that's my number 5.
Okay, my number 4, going back to the comics, because I will have to mention my number 1 honorable mention. I didn't put it in there. This is from the Republic comics. This is Anakin versus Asajj Ventress on Coruscant.
Mm.
This is where Anakin receives his scars and takes another step to the dark side. I consider this one of several key moments in the Clone Wars where you see Anakin lose it. Because it's the thing with the Gingy Tartakovsky fight on Yavin 4 at the Manasseh Temple, which I didn't realize was the Manasseh Temple until I went on Wikipedia right before this, which
Yep.
makes complete sense why it's so over the top and they're flying around and stuff, because the Force is so enriched there. But it's just with Gingy Tartakovsky stuff, I have to take a lot of it with a grain of salt because it's so stylized. It's why I didn't put any of his stuff in my top 5.
I have 2 of his stuff.
I know you do. I figured you would.
Okay, hold on. Is this your number 4?
This is my number 4, is Anakin and Asajj
Okay.
fighting on Coruscant when he just wraps her up in cables and just electrocutes her and then throws her off of a building to, at the time, we assumed was her death. Because she didn't come back till, what was that, Revelations, that 4-issue mini?
Right.
And she was wrecked.
Okay.
She, lost an eye and just was, just messed up.
Right. Okay.
But it's Anakin just took it way too far because she caught him talking to Padme. And that's just what did it.
Right. Okay.
That's my number 4.
And what was that in again?
This was in Republic Comics. Oh God, I don't remember. It was
Okay, I remember it. I just don't remember
Yeah.
the comic book. I do remember the fight.
yeah.
Okay, good deal.
My favorite 4. My number 4 is General Grievous at the Battle of Hypori. Chapter 20 of Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars.
Honorable mention for me.
Because that was, I think, not canonically, but as opposed to that was, I think, the first time we had ever seen General Grievous when that happened. When you're talking about not the timeline in universe, but our own timeline.
Right.
And
Yes.
man, what an introduction to a character.
I agree. I told you there were 2 things fighting in my honorable mentions, and the first one was Purge, the comic book, and the second one was General Grievous. Absolutely. That was the end of season 1, correct?
Yeah, that
Yes.
And it was amazing. It was
Kakruk
simply
said
amazing.
It was unstoppable. When
I mean-
Kakruk says that, that's
Yeah.
that's a really bad thing.
Amazing.
And
I-
it ends on the cliffhanger. It's you're thinking okay, so Kaidi Mundi's dead. That they killed him because there's no way he's getting out of that.
It's
Not
great.
just that, but Shakti and Ayla Sakura, you think
Yeah.
they're too.
It's great. Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And the thing is, I was probably the sourest person when I heard about it because I did not like the artwork. The stills I saw, I was like, oh, this looks like garbage.
Yeah.
And I never saw Samurai Jack. I didn't do any of that. I was like, oh, what is this? This looks like horse garbage. Oh, it's going to be 5 minutes long, 8 minutes long. They're not going to be even half an hour. Oh, this is garbage. I complained about every bit of news I got from it. And of course, preview night, I watched it for its 2.5 minute whatever, And I remember when it was over, I turned to Bruce and went, Wasn't that bad, actually. It was okay. And then every time I kept watching the episodes, they got better and better. And that ending, I was like, this is an amazing series. I think I already said that way before I saw that season finale, but there were so many good episodes. But Dylan, you got it. Grievous is a great one. A great one. All right. Well, my number 4, Quattro. You said battles. I feel bad now.
I'm excited.
Okay. Well, when I think about a battle, Luke battling the Wampas on Hoth.
Okay, that's my honorable mention.
Darksaber. He uses his lightsaber several times, hacking through Wampas. But one of my best ones is the one-armed Wampa. This is total spoilers here. Comes back from Empire Strikes Back, and he's leading the Wampas, and he is menacing. And as he and Callista are running through the snow, and that Wampa's coming at him, Luke, I can see this in my head. Luke pauses, and then does a big force jump backwards with his lightsaber extended, and just totally beheads him, and lands onto the snow as the Wampa's severed head falls to the ground, and then his body slowly just timbers over. And I was thinking, after all the battle with, and I mean, it wasn't just lightsabers too. There were people shooting, but Luke was fighting him off with a lightsaber, and then he took down that big one at the end. And you're going, holy cow. That was a moment.
That was the only, lightsaber that wasn't a duel. I had that at the bottom because I didn't remember it clearly enough to put it on the list. Because but that whole sequence is freaky. When
it reads like a horror story, honestly.
Yeah,
it does. Oh, it's like Aliens, the movie. It literally is like Aliens, the movie, and it's so friggin' good. And they're just trying to get out alive. And by the way, spoilers, they don't get out of alive.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's great. It's such a great scene, and I just love it.
It's one of the darker Bantam moments.
Yeah.
It's one of the few dark Bantam moments. You know what? It got a lot of hate because of that.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
It also got hate because it was part of the Callista trilogy, but people don't like that trilogy.
Shut your face! Tell them. Okay, go ahead. Can we add Waru to the Callista trilogy? Make it like a quadrilogy there.
The
So
they should have put Callista in Crystal Star.
Number 3. Last Command. Luke versus Luke. Luke with the 2 U's, which is the dumbest.
That's how Mark Thompson pronounces it in the audiobooks.
Oh God, does he really?
Yeah, he goes La-ook.
Oh my goodness.
Because initially I didn't read the Thrawn trilogy as novels. I read the comic book adaptations first, which are actually quite good. But I remember getting to Last Command and Luke and Mara confronting the clone of George Kabak. And you see, they're like, you're not even the real George Kabak, you were never him. And it's like all these revelations are happening. And then George Kabak is like, I don't want to do this to you, Luke. And then he unleashes the clone of Luke that's cloned from his hand that Vader cut off in Empire Strikes Back, wielding Luke's original lightsaber. And Luke meets his match. And it's just like the ultimate fan service part of the whole trilogy of Zahn's books. It's just Luke fighting Luke. And it's just awesome. 14-year-old me was just blown away.
There you go. With Luke's original lightsaber, no doubt.
With Luke's original lightsaber.
Yes, that's true. How's that?
Yeah.
It's like they literally was beating him with his own arm.
Yeah.
Why you hitting yourself? With his hand. The hand. Okay. The Hand of Luke. That should be the next
The Hand of Luke.
That Zahn writes. Okay, Dylan, what's number 3?
I'm surprised it's this low. Legacy of the Force Invincible. Jaina versus Jason.
Oh God! All right, which one? The first fight or the final fight?
The final fight.
Oh, that's my number 2.
the first fight wasn't really a fight. Like, he just kind of it was more of like a little skirmish than like he ran off to do something. I forgot exactly, but he ran off. But the second one,
he thinks he's fighting Luke.
Yeah.
During that one.
But the second one, and like all of it, and it's another one with like Ulick versus Krei. It's just like literally the entire series, 9 books, has been building up to this moment.
And it's like, because this is my number 2, like, just the emotion behind it, the way the book Invincible's written itself, with all of the Young Jedi Knights quotes at the beginning of every chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what's going to happen, but when it does happen, it's just incredible. And they just beat the living shit out of one another. Oh yeah,
it's like they're getting like burned from steam and like broken arms and ribs and stuff, and it's just like it's literally all out. And in that fight, neither one of them would stop.
It's for anyone who doesn't know, and it's the equivalent of Undertaker versus Mankind in Hell in a Cell. I mean, it is just like that is my number 1, by the way. Shame on you, Dylan, for not making it number 1. Shame on you. Shame on you, Jeremy, for making it number 2. How dare you, sir? How dare? I don't care what your number 1 is.
Understand with number 1.
No, I will not. Anyway, here's the thing. Reading that, you're right. At the beginning of the book, when Troy Denning starts putting in the quotes, you know what's going to happen. And you're like, oh no, come on, I can't start crying. I just read the first quote. What's going on here? And as the battle is going on, you're right. It is a beatdown. It is a beatdown, bloody, all-out brawl between the siblings. And then how it ends, though. How it ends.
I know.
Because it's okay, Jaina. Oh, come on, stop. It's like he leans into the. Come on.
He stops fighting to warn Tenel Ka, and then in that moment, that's when it happens.
At the very last second, he's like, okay, now I'm done. So in a way, Jason was right. He did things to save the universe. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic moment. It is one of the most it is the most fantastic moment of that series. Let me make sure before I say that. Yes,
not only that, it's like right after that, it's over, and you get the flashback back to New Jedi Order when Jaina's right after when Jaina's wingmate died, and Jason was the one to help her through that night.
Stop. Just wow. Well, you know what? And to say that doesn't bring emotion out of you, it's almost like saying this would be my number 3 or my number 2. Like, this is kind of what it's saying. Like someone who's so uncaring that would mark this so low on their list. It is because look at this. It has everything. It has beatdown, broody. But there is lightsaber duels nonstop. Mm-hmm. Move aside episode 3. Jason and Jaina carry this one all day long if they had to, and it's got some great stuff in it too. And then finally, emotion. What's going on with the story right now? It's phenomenal. We talked about Cade and Ulick Qel-Droma, which is good. That's a good one. Sibling versus sibling is nice. But this has been building up, not just for a few comic book issues, but for decades of books. They have a history, and we know that history. And we're being reminded of that history. And we even have a flashback of the history. You're both wrong. Anyway, my number 3 was Ulick Qel-Droma and Cade Skywalker, which should be y'all's number 3. You already said your number 2.
Jaina. Okay,
Dylan. What's your number 2? What? It's better. Please, because I don't remember Waru having a lightsaber battle, so I don't know what's better. Please tell me it's a Callistia moment.
Ventress versus Anakin at the Messiah Temple and season 1 of Jenny Tartakovsky's Clone Wars.
You're exactly right. That's my number 2 as well.
And that was an honorable mention for me.
Because
okay, go ahead, Dylan.
Because I guess in my list, I guess the rule of cool and style overweighed and choreography overweighed the at least how I was looking at it, overweighed the actual story elements. Because I try to come at this from, if you just watch this fight, if you just came into this with no context and watched the fight, how would it be? And the other ones were good fights and they had some emotional backing to it, but that was kind of my going into this. And I mean, the whole build, the fight is just it is a masterclass of show don't tell storytelling, of like just two going at it with amazing showing off of force powers, because again they were in kind of a force nexus, so they can do that. But like not only that, but like there's a throughout the fight when they're fighting through the temple, right, when they're kind of even and Anakin is using mainly using like the light side of the force, he is bathed in blue light and Ventress is bathed in red light throughout that entire fight. Then when he loses his lightsaber and he takes Ventress's and starts to tap into the power of the dark side to win, they are both bathed in red throughout the rest of that fight. And it's something that it's just something little in the background, but it's so great as a visual storytelling of what's going on in that battle. And I mean, the choreography is great, the style is great, the little quiet moments, like when they're standing there taking each other in, and then the storm starts, and you hear the raindrops sizzling off their lightsabers as each one waits for the next to make the move.
Well, here's the thing. Dylan's right on all counts on this one, even as it being number 2, because you're right. You stole what I was going to say. The color scheme is phenomenal. Now, does it have an unfair advantage of being a visual animated short movie? Yes, it does. Yes. It bears that unfair advantage over all these stories because we can actually see it play out. However, you are right, Dylan, to mention the color scheme. That tells its own story in the background. Plus, there is no dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
There's no dialogue. And that scene where they are watching each other and the rain starts coming and hitting their lightsabers. Oh, man. There's so much tension. You could cut a knife through it's so much tension there. You cut a knife through it. It has so much going on there. But that is the turning point for Anakin, if you remember. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, if I want to beat her, I've got to go full crazy. I'm going to turn it on because she is going down. I mean, that's the moment that he's thinking, okay, this isn't working. I've got to, in his opinion, up his game, tap into this dark side. Ventress, on her end, now, of course, this is all speculative, what I'm saying here. To me, during that pause, Ventress is going through two things. First off, okay, Ventress thinks she's the best. Remember, previously, she'd established with Dooku she could beat anyone, anything. She's never had a challenge. This boy is challenging her.
Mm-hmm.
And so in her mind, it's like, wow, I thought I'd be done with this. But you know what? Playtime's over. I'm taking him out now. I'm done with. So they're both having the same realization, but both of them are confident in their skills to take the other one down. In my opinion, that's what it looks like. And
not just that, though. In the comics, at this point, she had captured Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin's master,
right,
and held him prisoner. She had killed numerous Jedi up until this point.
So that she's struggling with this one has really surprised her and angered her even more. So there's a lot going on in that scene. And the thing is, the second time viewing all these, I'd totally forgotten there was zero dialogue. Mm-hmm. If you would have asked me, Matt, what I thought there was dialogue in it for years. After I watched it the first time through, I thought there was dialogue in that episode. And then when I rewatched it the next time through, I was like, holy cow. So all that dialogue was in my head. It tells the story without using dialogue, using colors, using moments, and of course visually it's just stunning. It's honestly Tartakovsky's masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
With Grievous being an honorable mention. I can see why you want to put Grievous in there too, because to be honest, you could fit that in.
Right.
Like it's I don't have many honorable mentions. In fact, y'all named the two, and my third one is kind of a joke. So if it's anyone's number one, I'm gonna laugh and say no, but that is funny.
Well, the only one that we haven't said number one is Jeremy's.
Well, let's get to the honorable mentions, because Matt's named most of my honorable mentions.
Well, no, get to your number one. Go ahead, get to your number one, Jeremy. What is it?
Okay. Rule of Two, Bane and Xana versus the Jedi.
That was one of my honorable mentions.
Wow.
Because we've never seen these Jedi. The Jedi don't believe that there's any Sith left until the end. General Hoth's apprentice finally convinces enough of them to make a task force to kill Darth Bane. And we see it's probably Bane, with the exception, I was tied here because I wanted to put Bane and Xana's final fight in Dynasty of Evil.
But that was more of a Force battle than it was a lightsaber battle. That's why that was my reasoning, because I thought of that one too, and I didn't put it in for that reason.
But we had never seen Xana's. We'd seen some of Xana's lightsaber style, because she has a very unique saber form that she uses. We haven't seen Bane go full out as Dark Lord of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Because pretty much every time in Path of Destruction, he found a way to kill someone with the Force rather than duel them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to see Bane just take on all of these masters.
Yep.
In a duel and like hold his own.
And I think it's another great way of demonstrating why Bane needed to do his plan. Because I think up to that point, you could make the argument of, well, why doesn't Bane just take out the Jedi Order right now? But in that fight, yes, they are victorious. Yes, it's 2-on-5. But even then, they do struggle against those 5 Jedi. It's a very close fight. It very easily could have gone the other way. And you think, that's just 5 Jedi. There are thousands of them.
Mm-hmm.
They are – the Sith are – it was demonstrating the fact that the Sith at this point are not ready to take on the Jedi. That's why Bane's order needs to be in secrecy. That's why they need to build up over the generations. And it was a great way of showing that, and just a great fight in general.
I loved it. I loved everyone's saber forms are really noticed. You see, well, because Bane has a unique form of Form 4 in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his hooked handled lightsaber, it alters his saber skills, and plus you get to see the brute force of Bane, because he also has the Orbalisk armor still at that point. So like he technically can't get hit with lightsabers, which he ends up being subdued because he unleashes Force lightning, and they put him in a force field, and he just wrecks himself. But ends up killing them all. But it's pretty good. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
It's the perfect way for a Rule of 2 to end.
Yeah. The only problem with that is that it's not better than Jason and Jaina. You are wrong. So anyway, honorable mentions.
Okay, I
have one as a joke, but y'all go ahead and give y'all's first.
So one of mine comes from the original Marvel comic line, and as Matt takes off his headphones.
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. I gotta find something real quick, but I'm listening. I have you on speakerphone.
All right. So it is well, we think it's Luke and Vader fighting each other in this sort of death trap valley that tags younger sister for Luke and Vader so she can get her revenge. But we find out that, he thinks he kills Darth Vader. Well, it turns out he kills Baron Tag. And Vader used a Sith spell, I guess, to make Luke think he killed Vader, when in truth he killed Baron Tag.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really interesting. It's really interesting to see Vader do something like that. You don't see it a whole lot. The whole comic itself, that 2-issue story arc, I have a review coming out really soon on it because I really enjoyed it. And my other one would be General Grievous taking on Shakti and the other Jedi at Season 2 of Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, as well as when he takes on the Jedi in Labyrinth of Evil.
That was good as well.
The reason it didn't make the list, though, is the continuity errors between the two. Because both in their own rights are really good fights. One's very Genndy Tartakovsky, and the other one's very James Luceno. But there was some sort of miscommunication between the two of them, and there's a massive continuity error in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't make the list.
And I missed the comic book where the Baron Tag storyline was in. What comic book was that?
Oh gosh, it was right before Empire Strikes Back happened, so mid to late 30s in the issues.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That was a good one.
It was like the first really good lightsaber duel in the Marvel comics too.
Yeah, it was really good. All right, Dylan, honorable mentions.
So the first one, again, this would have been in my top 5 had I known it could have been anything, but Battle of Ithor, Corran Horn versus Shade O'Shea.
Right.
Ooh.
That is a forgotten battle, sir. That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good that you remembered that one.
Well, it's just like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the Vong went back on their word, so it didn't matter, but it was just such a powerful, like, moment of, like, of a lot of things that, one of the great things that New Jedi Order did was letting the other Jedi shine. Like, making it so that it's not just like Luke and the Skywalker family saving the day. It's like it's giving the other Jedi their time to shine. But anyway, it gave the New Jedi Order giving like the other Jedi a time to shine. Like it wasn't just the Luke and friends show, or the Skywalker family saving the day. It's these other Jedi now who are fully capable of stopping conflicts, and yeah, it doesn't amount to anything because the Vaughn take back on their word, but it was just a very good character moment that led to a pseudo-redemption arc with Corran because everyone blamed him for the fall of Ithor because of that battle, and then Corran Horn versus Shade O'Shea. Great fight, giving a Jedi that wasn't Luke the time to shine, setting off his redemption arc, and just being like, again, because at that point, like a regular rank and file grunt Vong almost beat Mara, and now this is like a Vong general going up against Corran, and you're just like, oh man, and they've already killed off multiple characters at this point, so you're like, oh man, is he going to get through it? And the way he gets through it as well, using his unique properties of his lightsaber to best him, and the whole fallout after that battle with and that kicked off his pseudo redemption arc within the New Jedi Order. Just great fight.
You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
And see, I'm on mute. That's so weird. Okay, anyway, I don't know. Mute doesn't work. Okay, so I'm sorry for that Tristan moment there.
You didn't fall asleep, and I joined a Skype call, and you and Edward were sleeping.
Since oh yeah, that was every moment. All right, what? Any other honorable mentions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mara versus Kaitis.
Who?
Mara versus Jason.
Oh yes.
Oh God, I forgot to put that on there. Oh.
That's brutal. That's a brutal one.
Yeah, I think that one. If that one speaks for itself. I think.
God.
Luke and Ben, when they're in Fate of the Jedi Omen, when they first come across the Lost Tribe, because like it's the Lost Tribe were this brand new League of Sith. There were a dozen of them. One of them was their High Lords, the highest ranking Lost Tribe. And then Luke has been beyond shadows for like 3 days. He's malnourished. He's like overexerted himself on the Force. He is like down for the count and not out. And Ben is like, I think like 14 to 16, somewhere in that. And the two of them go against 12 Sith Lords. And the Sith Lords didn't stand a chance. Like this was how powerful Luke was. To a lesser extent Ben, but Luke was. So, like even Luke on like 10%, like it's the Shaggy meat. Even Luke on like 5% of his power could still could still take out a dozen Sith pretty much on his own, and the fact that you had Ben with him was just like it did kind of one of the flaws of Fate of the Jedi is that it did kind of undercut the threat that the Lost Tribe were, though of course they weren't really the bad guy Abeloth was. So
well, at this point though, remember, when was the last time the Lost Tribe really tested themselves?
Yeah, I've written an article about this.
Never. And then Luke is like the most powerful at this point.
Mm-hmm. You've read my Expanded Universe article on this.
Yes, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not. I didn't realize this was an article.
And then the last one I had was the final battle between Cade Skywalker and Darth Krayt.
Okay. In
I
War?
knew you'd have that one on there. I thought it would be your 4 or 5. That one
No.
would.
It's a good one for me, but because other than the fact that I like it, I put it on my honorable mentions and probably the very bottom of the honorable mentions.
My joking honorable mention is Lumiria and Luke, or Luminara and Luke, however you pronounce her name. The final battle.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a battle.
It wasn't.
He just picked her up. He just picked her up, brought him to his lightsaber, and just decapitated her and walked away. It was great.
Yeah, he battled her to a cliff, and then she started falling off the cliff, and he grabbed her hand so that she didn't fall, and he's like, "Nope, you're not going to die that way," and just decapitated her, and that was it.
It's great.
I almost put his.
No, wait. I'm sorry, Dylan didn't. I don't think he grabbed her, did he? I think he grabbed her through the Force.
He may have, yeah.
And I think he grabbed her through the Force and then brought her to his, just held out his lightsaber and brought her to the lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. It was great.
It was great because that was basically the moment of like the gloves are coming off with Luke.
The shortest battle in the history, because before then they had fought for a little while, but you didn't know that Luke was holding back to save Lumiara. And now that Mara's dead, nope. All the gloves are off. I could have handled you in any way I wanted to. It's great. I loved it. I
initially loved their confrontation in the Marvel comics.
Mm-hmm.
I was good too.
That was really good. I think that's probably the best. Well, because it's been so long since I read that. That's probably some of the best Luke lightsaber moments in the Marvel comics. What are you doing?
Hold on, there's someone here that wants to say, ow, what? Okay, hold on, you got a guest who wants to make a comment about this, lightsaber battles. Hold on. All right, well, come on here. What do you want to tell him? All right, we'll just get on here. All right, hold on.
Oh, no. No!
Why wasn't I not picked?
Chuck Wendig, what are you
Aftermath.
doing out here?
Were there any
lightsaber battles where they slished and slashed your little lightsabers?
God.
It was
Chuck
so exciting, I wet my space diapers reading it.
But Chuck, you got fired.
I did. Bigots fired me. Yes, I did. Oh, it made little Chucky so angry. Don't make Chucky angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Oh, no. God.
Don't keep Chucky in a box. Don't box Chucky in. What kind of lightsabers do you like? Chucky likes all colors of lightsabers. Chucky's bored now. He doesn't write Star Wars books anymore. No one likes him anymore. Not that anyone liked him to begin with. Almost talks like Sling Blade. I reckon so. What questions do you have?
Get out of here.
No.
Get out of here. You remember my Aftermath review?
No, I hate you for it. I hate you.
Oh, yeah.
I hate you all.
I got a better beard now.
I'm sorry about that.
God, you got it. Why do you let Yub-Nub invite people over anymore?
Well, you know what? Yub-Nub was sleeping. Usually he guards at the door and make sure he doesn't come in. But
God. What are we gonna have next? Fred? Fred's gonna come in?
Gosh, that'd be funny. He's probably living somewhere in the house too.
Oh, probably. There's probably a whole colony of people.
If anyone doesn't know, Fred's the guy who does my music.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I need music or certain sound things, he helps me out. One time he wrote a little soundtrack for a Halloween special or something for me. I can't remember when it was, but he came over to the house, got his keyboard out and his computer, and made the song right there for me. It took him about 20 minutes, recorded it, and sent it to me and said, okay, I got to go, dude. And he got up and left. He just dropped by my house. He was on his way to another gig. I never see Fred, hardly ever. And I said, hey, Fred, will you do the scene for me real quick? He's like, okay. And he did the scene. Then he was gone. And I haven't seen him for 8 months. I saw him last week. The dude is super thin now. He lost a ton of weight.
What?
If it hadn't been for his face, I wouldn't have recognized him. I mean, he wasn't fat, but he was kind of short and he was kind of stocky, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's pale thin now. I was like, dude, what happened? He's like, oh yeah, I decided to lose some weight. He's a really smart guy who just yeah, I guess I'll lose weight today. And he loses weight. I guess I'll learn how to cook. He becomes a chef. I guess honestly, the guy's got tons of talent. And it's funny because I try to hang out with him, but he's always busy, but he's super nice. He'd love to hang out with me. He's an enigma, that man. I'd love to have him on the show more.
Yeah.
He actually wants to recut my intro for Matt's Expanded Universe. But I said, if you do that, people are going to riot. They love the entrance. When I got rid of it for a short time because I thought it wasn't going to be, I said, man, it's getting repetitive. Everyone was like, when you bring the introduction back? I missed the intro. Where's the intro? I was like, okay, fine. Got to have the intro in there. And if I change the intro now, he's going to hate it. I mean, he wanted to get new music and everything. Wow. And I was like, oh, dude, I don't know. It's kind of locked in now. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anything else to wrap up?
Well, I was just checking. We don't have any questions, so I guess we just have what we're reading, and then we'll call it a podcast.
Yeah. Move into maybe some backpedalers, if you all are up for that.
Yeah.
Matt, what are you reading?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Well, not much right now. I did finish. Jeremy will like this. I've been reading I got some Marvel comic books, and I found 2 boxes while I was moving them out from our nursery now. We don't have a guest room anymore. We have a nursery now.
Okay.
And moved them from the nursery into my room, and I found 2 boxes. I was like, oh, shut up. And one of them was X-Force.
Ooh, okay. What era?
Liefeld. I mean, starting with issue number 1.
Okay.
And going all the way to when they changed for a very short time when the writer from Mad Men got involved.
Oh, God.
The Mad Men comic books. Those are phenomenal. They became ecstatic after that. Ecstatics or something. And I got, and he kept it for a little bit while and then stopped it. Boy, Ecstatics was really good. I was shocked at how good that was. It's better than X-Force. But Rob Liefeld has, and I hate Rob Liefeld. Me and my brothers always have a joke. If we ever see him, I think every comic book person loves to hate him. And we always said if we ever see Rob Liefeld, we'll kick him in the nuts. Well, I actually got to see him at Comic-Con back in 2005. I was like, shut up. And I remember I called my brother on the cell phone. I went, I said, hey, dude. I said, guess who's here? He said, who? I said, Rob Liefeld. And then there's this pause. And brother goes, are you going to kick him in the nuts? I said, I guess I have to. Because we keep saying that. And I just thought it was funny that he was there. And I really wanted to kick him in the nuts. I can't do that. But I was like, oh, my gosh. But he did. It was really smart. I forgot about this. He did a sideways issue. Do you remember this? Where you turn the X-Force comic book. The cover is on the side. I'm like, that's weird. No, you flip and read the whole thing sideways.
Oh, yeah.
It was new. It was inventive. And to my knowledge, it has never been done. Now, I'm not a comic book guy, so it's probably been done before. But that was the first time I'd ever seen it done before. And I was very impressed by that. His artwork, though drastically, plagiarizing every comic book he's ever read before, is actually pretty good.
I hate his pouches.
I mean, yeah. Well, there's a lot of things.
America's boobs.
But Ecstatics, what X-Force turned into and then split off on its own, is phenomenal. It's one of the best things in that Marvel collection now. Anyway, I'm sorry. Went too much story with that. What are you guys reading?
Dylan.
Let's see. Since the last podcast, I finished the Cessus Deception, Jedi Trial, and Hard Contact. I'm now reading Shatterpoint.
Let me ask you a question. Oh, you are. Can I ask you a question? Cessus Deception. Is it okay or not good? Like Go ahead.
I enjoyed it. I might be biased because Kit Fisto is one of my favorite Jedi from the prequels. So I like that he finally had like a book.
Me too.
There were things I didn't like about it. Like I didn't like the fact that the Mon Calamari Admiral, I forgot his name, that was like really against just didn't care about clones.
Yeah, I thought he was a little over the top.
Yes. Like I get that there would be people of that officers, but I thought he was too much of that. Especially with that exercise that he was putting them through that was literally getting them killed.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little much.
That was a little ham-fisted.
Yeah.
His hate. Yeah, too extreme. I agree with that.
I also didn't like the parts with the ARC Trooper and his relationship with the that one.
Oh, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's for the same reasons as you.
It's not as bad as Travis, but I agree. It Cessus Deception is not. I mean, it's not. I don't want to say it's a bad book, but it's a ho hum.
I think it was better than Jedi Trial.
Ooh, I have to think about that.
Because I mean, Jedi Trial, it was nice. It was nice seeing Nedja Halcron finally in action, and it was good to kind of get Anakin's feet wet as well in like that command. But I thought a lot of the other characters were. I thought the two, like the pilot and the recon scout that got together in the end, I thought that was like that relationship was like way too fast.
Mm.
Other than that, the battle was fine, and then Hard Contact was fine because that thing doesn't happen in that. I mean, I can see where it's going, but it doesn't happen in that book, and I thought it was
the 000. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Where are you in Stover's book? Shatterpoint, sorry.
He has he's just been released and is in the back alley and got ambushed.
Oh, that's not very far.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just started reading it a few days ago. But
that's fine.
I'm enjoying it so far.
Okay.
I do feel like Mace is a little too underpowered in this. Like, he keeps getting, like, beaten way too many times.
Has he started with his journal?
Yes.
Do you not find that jarring? To flip back and forth between the story and then his. Okay, that's fine.
No, because unlike Dawn of the Jedi, it actually tells you when you're reading his journal and when you're not.
That is true. It's more clear. It's set forth more clear, and then just automatically just randomly changes.
Yeah,
that is true.
So because of that, I can get the fact that okay, yeah, he's recording his journal now. All right, the journal's over. Now it's actually what's happening.
Okay, gotcha. All right, no problem. Let me know what you think when you're done.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Jeremy.
So, I'll get to the one that isn't jarring. I've been reading the Marvel Comics, the original Marvel Comics. I'm on issue 45, 46, which is a Lando Chewie story, which I'm really enjoying. But I just finished Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void.
Oh my gosh.
And I loved it.
What?
At first, I remember the first chapter, it was like, I'm like, oh, what on earth am I reading? But, like, I've read Tim Levin's work before because he did a whole trilogy of Alien and Predator stories that were really good. The Rage War, and I'm a big fan of the Rage War. But this is a very different style for him. I picked up on it immediately, the past to present, because I have read worse Star Wars books. I mean, Aftermath, for instance, is far worse. But the potential I saw in Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void and the world building, the story itself is pretty solid. It's not the greatest Star Wars story I've ever read. it's all of the world building that he does, I think, masterfully with the war that they had just gotten over a few years prior, the fact that people don't trust the Jedi, the fact that they're leading to John Ostrander's comic series in a couple ways. There's several references to it, which hadn't happened yet. I liked it. I think that it would have done well with a trilogy of them. Give me a face like you just took a dump.
I
smell that.
If I took a dump, it'd be on top of that book. It's a book that, now here's the thing. I said this about the comic book. I said it was great ideas. I was interested in where it was going. Is that a good comic book series? Overall, no. However, I was interested to see where it would go. I think John Ostrander would have given us, it looked like the storyline was moving up a little bit, but I had low interest in Dawn of the Jedi as a whole. And the book was just awful. I would die to see a second one. It'd be awful. That would be very disappointing if they said, "Hey, Matt, here's the first Legends book we're coming out with, Dawn of the Jedi." Oh, freak. I mean, I guess I'd get it, but I would not be happy. I see no redeeming qualities. No redeeming qualities of that book. It's not the worst, but it's one of the worst books.
I don't know.
But I am glad you like something. You're the first person I've heard who said they liked the book.
Oh, I know. I know. I'm the only person that likes this book. Like, I'm nervous to review it because, like, I'm gonna get shit on in the comments section.
I think you should totally do it. Totally.
I'm going to review it. I'm just behind on reviews. But like after.
Well, wait. You know what? Your judgment is impaired. You said you've been reading the new Star Wars stuff for a while now, and so compared to new Star Wars stuff, Dawn of the Jedi is like a masterpiece, probably.
Well, I mean,
man, we're spoiled.
I mean, I read A New Dawn, which was pretty good. It was a solid story. Dylan, do not make me drop an F-bomb in here and have to put an explicit tag on here.
Wow.
My hackles are raised.
Wow, you're hackles. For someone who sits there and reads the new Star Wars stuff, I can see where you would say, because, even an insane man, when he gets, a man who's dying in the desert, when he gets his first taste of water, even though it's really piss, he thinks it's fantastic.
But the thing
I'm assuming I'm giving you an out here, brother. I'm assuming that after reading so much garbage, do I have to bring him back on here? Anyway, the thing is, after reading so much of that garbage, you're like, oh, here's Dawn of the Jedi. Let me read this. Oh, it's fantastic. Ooh, wait a minute. You should rank the worst of the EU with the best of the new canon and see how that, take the top 10 infamously hated books, shuffle them with the favorites, and see if they can go up against any of those. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, like 2 maybe.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like I would rank Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void over 000, for instance. 000 is one of the worst Star Wars books I've ever read.
Is that when the relationship forms?
Yes.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Because 000 had potential. There's a couple really cool moments.
I'll give you that. You may be right on that. It's not, Dawn of the Jedi isn't the worst. Okay, there are some other ones I don't enjoy, but Dawn of the Jedi would be top 5 probably.
But I mean, like, there's just things. There's like it's the detail in Dawn of the Jedi with the alchemy that we don't get a whole lot of.
There is no alchemy in Dawn of the Jedi.
Yes, there is.
Is there?
Yeah. She uses some flesh alchemy because she gets shot in the chest.
Oh, jeez. I must have been asleep while reading this garbage.
And they mentioned that fact that, like, it's not because, like, the Jedi are all about the balance, and that goes too far into the dark side of the Force. So it's like, it's very dangerous for them to do, and they have to meditate in the light in order to be able to keep that balance. And it's like a whole thing about it.
And the whole Ashla Bogan stuff is interesting, where they literally have representations of light and dark in the Typhon system.
Well, here's the deal. I have a huge head cold right now, so I know what it's like to lose all taste, Jeremy. So I just, literally, I can't. Everything tastes like mush to me right now. So I can understand. I guess I can relate to you that way, that you love Dawn of the Jedi.
I don't know. I'm on a huge kick with it right now. I'm also reading Revan.
That's a good one.
Revan's incredible. Like, I'm 5 chapters in and I'm enthralled.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe I waited this long to read it because I've read most of the Old Republic. I just had never read Revan.
It's not the best of the Old Republic. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's second best.
Yeah, I would say second best. I like Deceived. I think.
Yeah, I think it goes. In my personal, it's Deceived, Revan, Annihilation, Fatal Alliance.
I can't remember. One of those were ho-hum. I can't remember Alliance, and I agree with you. It's somewhere that for me too. I probably would agree with you, Dylan.
Annihilation is the one with Satele Shan's son, who takes out that like super dreadnought in his underwear, essentially.
Okay, all right.
And Fatal Alliance is the one, like the planet that's making like war droids that like.
Got it. Yes, I agree. That one, it wasn't bad, but it was definitely forgettable. It was like, well, there's nothing really going on here.
It took 2/3 of the book to get to the Fatal Alliance.
Yeah, it was really just drawn out. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't bad. It's like, is anything going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dan.
Yeah, well, that was the Legends podcast. Thank you for being on, Matt, even though you shit all over me.
Well, just off your Dawn, you shat yourself, sir.
No,
by picking Dawn the Jedi.
The Jedi's good.
Okay, on that note, way to end it on a loser note. Sheesh.
I don't know, Dylan. I guess it was nice to have you.
Yeah.
I expect you to be on here because you have less of a life than I do, but. Alright, that insulted everyone. Have a nice day, I guess. You know there's no video, Matt. All of your facial expressions.
Yay, good.
Recorded.